Hello and welcome to Riveting Sports Tales with Rashida. I'm Rashida Jastanwala, your host. So, we begin the season today with Rashi Shah, who's a marathon runner. Something that started 4.5 years ago with the Pinkathon Marathon has now become Rashi's identity. Quite literally, also, with her interesting Instagram handle called Rash in a Flash.
So, thank you, Rashi, for being here. We can't wait to learn about your journey a lot more. And of course, we have some questions because you are spotted in Mumbai and in London with a flash cape behind you. So, yeah, we would definitely want to learn about that considering you are a strategic marketer. So, how important do you think is marketing as a runner when you have to put yourself out there, and how has it worked until now?
Thanks, Rashida, firstly, for having me on this. Marketing and a runner, I've never really actually thought of combining the two, but for me, it honestly just started off as just building myself as a runner. And what actually happened was that I took part in something called 100 Days of Running. And back then, for me, I needed motivation to actually sit and run every single day because I needed somebody to keep in check for me, but I wasn't asking anybody else to do it. I just needed I started posting about that I started with Snapchat. So I started doing that over my Snapchat stories. That interestingly, 100 days is almost towards 1/3 of the year. So it was a long period. So obviously over time, people started noticing that, and people, interestingly, by the end of it, I got so many messages and so many positive messages of how I inspired people. Some people I didn't even know. So it was really cool that I saw that trend pick up. And that's how I realized that I was unknowingly inspiring other people. And then I thought, why not move this towards my Instagram platform? I realized that posting things about my running was helping me as an individual. It was motivating me more than anything. And that's when I started just creating my own platform. Not exactly with the intention of creating it, but I noticed that it was something that was working for me as well as for others. And that's how I started off with creating my own branding in a way, if you would call it. And that's kind of what I guess my own expertise in marketing helped me broadcast myself for the long run.
Okay, so at least one internet challenge has gone the right way and it's not gone bad. Okay, so that's actually a very good start, the way you did. And going back to your coaching a little bit, you have coached with someone who is in London, and I think you've also coached with someone who's in India.
So my current coach is in India.
Okay, so what are the 2 or 3 major key differences that you have noticed in the mindset of both your coaches, and also like the mindset of people in both the countries when it comes to running, and how accepting they are of running as a sport?
So both my coaches are phenomenal. I love both of them because they're very cool and very accepting of everything that I do and everything. They're very, very motivating. The difference I think was with Jordan, who's a Project Marathon Girl, was that she always had this following. She had this community that was developed before I joined in. So when I joined in, they felt very welcoming. She was very accepting. She taught me what a training plan is in the first place. It's more about variating your training, and that's what I learned from her. With my coach, Satwik over here, so he's a friend. I met him through, he used to be, so his wife is a Nike running pacer here. The thing with Satwik I loved about his training plan was that, so with Jordan, we used to have a training peaks app that where she used to monitor my work. It was really cool because she would set up the plan. She'd tell me, you're doing 15 minutes of this is the pace you do at so-and-so time. During, the whole plan was very, very detailed, which was really cool. Especially at first I was overwhelmed, but it really helped and made sense while I went about it. With Satwik, we do told him about this, and he's like, honestly, I keep it very simple. We use Google Sheets. I was like, okay, that's a very new thing to me. I'm so used to this techie kind of training plan where it automatically feeds into my watch and I know what I'm doing kind of thing, where you're just telling me things on Google Sheets.
Yeah, you're just going back to the office way of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, but no harm, we can try it out. And what really helped with him was that, so one of the biggest thing on his chart literally is just like the date, the plan for today. You tell me what you did. You rate your run on a scale of 10. So we call that the happiness score. In any feedback that you had from the run, and then his own feedback post run. And what I loved most about his training plan was the happiness score. I have never rated my running on a happiness score. It's not about how great the run was. It's about how did you feel while running. It can be your fastest run. You've got a PB in that, but you probably felt like absolute shit. So it's more like, did you enjoy the run? Because that's the bigger thing. It's how do we make running less monotonous? How do we love running for the rest of our lives? It's these little things about finding happiness in your running. And literally, there have been days I like very recently, after a very long, like I said, a lot of my runs have been around 7, 8 on a happiness score. Some would be on a 10. Very recently, I did a speed interval after it's been about 3.5 to 4 months with him now. And I finally got a run where I was doing a literal 11 on 10, and I was like on my feedback, I was like commenting, I was like, it was a speed interval. Speed intervals are absolute fun, but they're also absolute torture because you're running at like high speeds and then like taking a break and like again high speed and taking a break. And I was just like, that time I did not feel like it was torture. I was running one of my fastest speed sessions, and it was all about. So the thing with speed intervals, the biggest thing is when you're taking those fast jumps, it needs to be really consistent. That's more important than you just going all out in one segment and then suddenly dropping paces in your remaining segments. So I was able to do that so comfortably, like literally, I guess it was also the weather. I can't deny the weather's been amazing right now. But
this is in Bombay,
yeah, in Bombay.
Okay.
So with that, and I was literally, I felt like I was flying. I literally felt like I had wings on me. And I was able, like, when I look back at my charts every time. He doesn't look at my charts at all, which is really cool. I was like, how are you not analyzing any of my stuff? But he's like, are you happy? First, that's the biggest question, because right now we're not training for a specific event. We're not training for anything crazy, but at the same time, we know we're going to get there. Like, he's like, I've already told him like my long-term goals and everything. So we're looking to grow 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So how do we, right now, we just need to build your basics, understand the process, enjoy the process. Then when things get much more tougher, more challenging, that's how you like look back at these moments and start realizing how much you love this sport. Then, so that you have that motivation to keep going even when things get much tougher. So with him, I absolutely loved that phase of it. So yeah.
Okay, so going back to the other bit of the happiness of your pace and your performance, what are your plans for the future? And as you told me earlier, you want to run professionally. So how are you going about that?
So when I say professionally, I'm not looking at nationals or any of that. I look at it more when I'm an endurance runner, it's not about track and field. It's more about long distance running. So I started off with 10 kilometers. I went into half and I went into full. I never thought I would go more than a full. For me, the full marathon was always like the ultimate. Like, it's the best thing that's like I can ever do. I mean, that it's already sounds crazy when I say I do 42 kilometers ever. The two things for me when I look at professionally, it's running the world majors. That is running in Boston, New York, London, Berlin, Tokyo, and so on. So those are all the full marathons that I aim to achieve. And getting onto those marathons is already hard enough. So that's getting into it is more than enough for me to say I'm professional. Because it's a huge task to get on through qualifications. And the second is to run an ultra marathon. My goal being the Comrades, so running 90 kilometers in a day. At the moment, it scares the hell out of me, but that's the thing. So my coach, in December, like when around the end of 2020, he sent me a whole email, and he sent me a bunch of questions about my running journey with him, and then listing out my short-term and long-term goals. And I was like, he's like, your long-term goals need to be as scary as possible. Don't worry, it's ultimately we're looking at like 5 to 10 years down the line, but it should scare you, because that's what a long-term goal is. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. So
you have to work towards
what I was
it a
like.
lot.
So in that, the 3 things I listed was that I want to, I can't remember the third, but I remember the 2 that I listed was I want to run so I had running the world majors, running the Comrades at some point, and then in some sense representing my country. Olympics is possibly a very far-fetched goal. I won't look at it. I mean, if that happens, great. But currently representing my country, even when you're running the Comrades, you yet represent your country. You wear the Indian t-shirt and stuff. So that itself is a huge feat for me. So for me, it was about representing my country, running the Comrades, and the world majors. So yeah.
Oh wow, this actually sounds like a big thing. We are always going to be there to cheer you on, Rashi, with the Indian flag on your back, and also the cape, no matter where you are running.
Yeah, definitely.
But thank you so much for being here on the episode, and we're looking forward to seeing all that you have to achieve. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.